This week, several states slapped secularism in the face by taking legislative action against pornography and abortion. Meanwhile, the pro-choice Pacific Coast has court cases looming in the near future, and a few Catholic universities have gone completely AWOL on sexual morality. I'm Ryan Everson. This is the Catholic Millennial Show. So, we're starting off with pornography this week. Pornography is obviously very, very bad, and it's a major issue in our culture today, especially among young people. But unlike abortion and freedom of speech and other issues, it's not always a legislative issue. So when it does enter the legislative arena, it's a really, really big deal. It's really awesome. So that's what happened this week. The Kansas Senate passed Resolution 1762 to officially condemn pornography as a public health crisis. And it passed with an overwhelming majority with a vote of 35-4. The bill does not restrict consumption of pornography, but it does seek to inform the public on the harms that porn causes on both an individual level and on a societal level. The resolution states that pornography, quote, teaches girls that they are to be used and boys to be users, close quote. It also notes that porn is directly linked to sexual harassment and sexual assault, which is a very important point that the secularists leading the Me Too movement from Hollywood would do well to recognize. If this legislation gets passed by the House and signed by the governor in Kansas, Kansas will become the 6th state in the nation to recognize porn as a public health crisis, joining Arkansas, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, and Virginia. According to Fight the New Drug, there are 5 other states that may be taking similar action very soon. Those states are Florida, Georgia, Missouri, South Carolina, and West Virginia. Excellent to see this dark issue being thrown out into the light. Moving on and jumping over to the pro-life arena, the Mississippi House of Representatives passed a bill that would ban abortion after 15 weeks gestation age. That is huge. That is early, really early. This would be the earliest abortion ban in the entire United States if it were to pass. So it passed the House this week with a big majority, 79-31, and we'll be keeping our eye on that as that legislation progresses. Mississippi is among the handful of states that has only one abortion facility in the entire state, and this bill could in fact put that facility out of business, making Mississippi the first state without any abortion facilities at all. And it will do this by cutting away the number of customers from this one abortion facility, but it would also cut their profits because late-term abortions are a lot more expensive than first trimester surgical abortions and first trimester abortions via the RU486 abortion pill. So women would have to get their abortion earlier and pay less money for it as a result, which hits the abortion provider. Another interesting point, and this point was actually made by Diane Derzis, who is the owner of that one abortion facility, was that this could force pro-life legislation up through the court system. Why is that important? It's important because we may be just one justice away from having a pro-life majority on the Supreme Court. And if cases are making the way up the court system and make it to the Supreme Court, that means Roe versus Wade could be overturned, potentially. Now, if Roe versus Wade was overturned, that wouldn't make abortion illegal, but it would send the issue to the states and would grant states complete freedom to do as they wish in the matter, so pro-life states could outlaw abortion entirely. So this is big stuff to keep an eye on. Jumping across the country to Utah, the House passed a bill banning abortions that targets babies with Down syndrome. You may not know this, but it's really quite ridiculous and sad at what an astronomical rate that babies with Down syndrome are aborted. A recent CBS News report found that in Iceland, nearly 100% of unborn babies diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted. It's not as bad in other Western nations, but still pretty bad. The UK, that rate's 90%. France, 77%. In the US, it's 67%. So the US is better than many other Western nations, but still, 2/3 of babies with Down syndrome in the United States are aborted. That is not good. If this legislation in Utah gets signed into law, Utah will become the 4th state to pass such legislation, joining Indiana, Ohio, and North Dakota, with more states on the way. Moving on to our AWOL Catholic universities, starting with Georgetown. So, at Georgetown, there is at least $400 belonging to a student organization called Love Saxa that has gone missing. Love Saxa is an organization that promotes traditional Orthodox Judeo-Christian values. They promote heterosexual marriage and chastity. They've got some Fight the New Drug, anti-porn stuff online. They seem like a really awesome organization. And what happened was that a donor sent them money through Georgetown, through the university, and later that donor received a statement from Georgetown confirming their donation to an LGBT organization. The donor was a little bit confused because they did not make a donation to an LGBT organization. They made a donation to Love Saxa. So they emailed Love Saxa. Love Saxa then found out that there were even more funds belonging to them that had been misappropriated to other organizations. And there's at least $200 due to Love Saxa that's just completely missing somehow. So Love Saxa is working with the Alliance Defending Freedom in this incident. If you've never heard of them, the Alliance Defending Freedom is an amazing organization that defends the legal rights of Christians, specifically in regards to freedom of speech, conscience rights, and freedom from unjust discrimination, which is what may be going on at Georgetown. Now, it is confirmed that Georgetown definitely misappropriated several $100s that belonged to Love Saxa. How and why that happened is still not entirely clear. For a Catholic school to be involved in this kind of a scandal was really quite ridiculous and disappointing, especially if it was done with criminal discriminatory intent against Love Saxa. There is not clear evidence to indicate that this is the case, but frankly, given Georgetown's poor explanations thus far, and given Georgetown's actions in similar matters, I have to say I would not be incredibly surprised to find that this was an act of malice. Georgetown also recently announced that they will have LGBT-only student housing on campus for the 2018-19 academic year. This is bad. Some of the people involved in this decision may have had good intentions, but this is bad, and here's why. So it's one thing to say we're going to help people with same-sex attraction meet other people who also experience that, and we're going to work with these students to help them understand their sexuality from a Catholic perspective. I think that would be great. I think it would be an excellent move to create an environment where these people who are facing great challenges with their sexuality are able to get help, where they're able to make friends, and where they're given resources and advice, where they're encouraged to live the way that God calls them to. That would be excellent. But that's not what Georgetown is doing. What they're doing is isolating these people from the normal student housing. They're essentially segregating them. And then they're putting all their bedrooms wall to wall with each other within this area. And that's harmful, not helpful. I mean, at the most fundamental level, I'm opposed to this essentially for the same reason I'm opposed to dorms with boys and girls next to each other. Because when you put boys and girls' rooms wall to wall with each other, you're putting them in a situation that makes sin convenient. It makes premarital sex convenient, but also makes rape more convenient. And that's exactly what this housing situation is creating as well. So that's an issue in and of itself, and given that issue, which was obviously done intentionally by the administration of the university, I don't find it surprising at all that Georgetown also misappropriated funds from Love Saxa to an LGBT group and other affiliated groups. I do not think it happened on accident, but we're still getting details, not known for sure. So keep tuning into the show. We'll give updates on that each week as we receive more info. Unfortunately, Georgetown is not the only Catholic university involved with morally questionable activities right now. Several years ago, when the HHS birth control mandate went into law under the Obama administration, Notre Dame fought the mandate because it violated their religious freedom. Now that mandate has been repealed, but Notre Dame seems to have changed its mind. The university says it will not provide the RU486 abortion pill, which kills the child between 5 and 8 weeks gestation age. But Notre Dame will provide birth control coverage, despite Catholic teaching that artificial birth control is immoral and a violation of the natural law. Not pleasing. Make Catholic universities Catholic again. MCUCA. Makuka. We need to get some blue Marian blue Makuka hats ordered. Okay. Moving on to our last piece of news. Good news, actually. There's a new book on transgenderism that was making waves in the media this week. I've got a wonderful new copy of it right here. Just received it in the mail yesterday. The book is called When Harry Became Sally, Responding to the Transgender Moment by Ryan T. Anderson. Ryan Anderson is a Catholic who has worked with several Catholic organizations, including Catholic Answers. And this book that I have in my hand right here may be the best book on transgenderism that the world has ever seen. I don't know yet. I've only read a couple chapters so far. I just got it yesterday. But it's really, really great, everything I have read so far. So I'm going to do a full feature on the book on the show next week once I'm done with it. So stay tuned for that. All right, now for our new segment called I'm Watching You. What are the secular movements that we need to keep our eyes on right now? The first is SB 320 in the state of California. This bill would force all California state-funded universities to provide the RU486 abortion pill on campus so that abortion services are more accessible to women. Never mind the fact that there are already abortion providers all over the state of California. In fact, according to the Federalist, California state universities are an average of less than 6 miles from an abortion facility. That bill is making its way through the state legislature right now, so hang tight for more news on that. Also, California is trying to force pro-life pregnancy centers to advertise for abortion clinics. The National Institute of Family and Life Advocates, also known as NIFLA, is suing the state of California for restricting their freedom of speech over this. The Alliance Defending Freedom is representing NIFLA in this case, and this case will be heard in the Supreme Court next month. Believe it or not, California is not the most pro-choice state in the nation. According to the AUL, Americans United for Life, they're actually number 2. The most pro-choice state in the nation is Washington, who seems to be very eager to make sure California doesn't outdo them right now. So right now, Washington is facing SB 6219. This bill would force Washington businesses, residences, and churches to pay for abortion through their insurance. So we'll be keeping tabs on that as that moves through the legislature as well. Please pray for California and Washington. Finally, there was a hearing in Oakland on Friday for Planned Parenthood versus the Center for Medical Progress. As we mentioned last week, the Center for Medical Progress is responsible for the undercover videos that have allegedly caught Planned Parenthood in numerous illegal activities. So we'll be watching this progress as well. And again, this is related to the Department of Justice investigation too. So if this stuff pans out in our favor, Planned Parenthood will lose all of their federal funding, all over $500 million of it, which would be awesome. Planned Parenthood to the pit of misery. Dilly dilly. Hey there, everyone. Thanks for watching this episode of the Catholic Millennial Show. All of our current and future projects here at the Catholic Millennial are dependent upon your support. If you'd like to help us and receive some killer Catholic swag, we'd be incredibly thankful if you could join us on Patreon by clicking the link in the title description or by going to catholicmillennialblog.com/Patreon. But maybe you're a young adult trying to get your life together and disposable income is kind of tight. Or maybe you're a seminarian or religious sister and disposable income is kind of non-existent. That's totally cool. If you could please follow us on social media and share our content with your friends, that would also be incredibly helpful and we'd really, really appreciate it. Thanks again, and we will see you back here next week for the Catholic Millennial Show. God bless.